sorry, have you
I've just put the recording on. Okay,
okay,
sorry.
I think I've got to click something.
That's all right. Yeah.
Is because if I take her, I have been very lucky that in Devizes, 5 miles away, there's a wonderful dog person who will look after dogs. She works on the Rover system.
Yeah. Yes, you
and
told me.
Nikki is wonderful, and she has a lovely big soft soppy Labrador, very relaxed. And Abby goes to Nikki's and is so happy, chilled, cuddly, you know, the old Abby. And she's pleased to see me, and she gets in the car and we go home. But she doesn't like this house. And I can understand.
Tell me a minute. Could you just tell me, does she hear bangs in Abby's house?
In Nikki's house?
Is not Abby, I mean the dog.
No, it's but it's not even, there might even be no bangs. Because there was a phase when before I went back to the vet and she got her onto this gabapentin, when, you know, I said first of all she wouldn't leave the house. I couldn't then get her to come back into the house. I mean, tremble. I had to carry her over the threshold, and she will not stay in the kitchen for longer than she has to. She'll go back up to my bedroom, which is fine if she's all right up there. But it's just that she's so nervous in this house, and it's not necessarily the firing, because the firing actually over with the coronation and one bank holidays and things has been a little bit quiet, but it can be anything. All my neighbours.
The thing about it, to interrupt you, is that your house has been sort of contaminated.
That's it.
Okay. What seemed strange before was she was almost quite happy when there weren't bangs, which would surprise me, because once they hear bangs, it does tend to contaminate the area. So in a way, your dog minder's house hasn't been contaminated by the bangs.
That's right.
So if there is a bang, she can cope with it better. So your house, in a way, needs exorcising, doesn't it?
Yes, that's it. And there has been progress. The wildwood where I first, when I got in touch with you after she ran back from that, I can get her to go up to it. The scatter feeding, I go fetch, go find, and so in other words, she's at a state where she can use her nose, and we get we can go anywhere, and I can get her through the village, chucking bits of kibble, as we go. So the surrounding area is becoming less dangerous to her, but once she gets worked up, then treats, as you know, don't work with her.
No, that's right. Well, I think it looks like we need to, but I know you've got more to tell me, but we need to look at exorcising the house more. What we do to exorcise the house, don't you?
Can I just at this point say, unfortunately, the timings for the move have been very bad for Abby, because we moved in December and the house is bitterly cold. It's drafty, and I've got very little light and very little heating. And the reason why I'm in the kitchen so much, it's the only room which has any natural light, and and it's a big space, and that's my sort of hub. The other rooms, I'm waiting for work to be done. So there's going to be a lot of from about June onwards. Now I've got contractors and things lined up. It's going to get more frightening for Abby, because they're going to be people coming in with machines and high-vis jackets.
Do you think it'd be worthwhile her spending the days while this is happening with your dog minder, and you having her back in the evening?
Well, she's expensive. I mean, I don't grudge it to her, but I mean, and the other thing is she's a bit of a part-time dog. She loves Abby, which is a huge bonus, and she's friendly with me, which is very gratifying. But she's actually an educational therapist, so she does a lot of work on Zoom, and sometimes goes up to Yorkshire where she works in schools. So she's not always available. She has said that she will have Abby, whenever she can, but I can't sort of sign her over for the summer sort of thing.
I'm sure actually Abby get on very well with my dogs as well, if it was a real emergency, because mine, like, one is a spaniel, one's a Labrador, so it's the right mix.
Oh,
And they're both old,
yes.
11 and 12.
It as this word you used about contamination, this is not a safe space for her, and it's
That is
going
what
to
it
get
is. I don't think
less
it's anything
safe.
to do with it being cold or being open or being anything like that. It's because I would say very soon after you arrived, and it was all new, and she was trying to settle in and suss out what was what, she had bangs.
Yes.
And then so everything sort of oversensitized. Possibly she was in a bit of pain as well. But the thing is, she'd also been very aroused from the whole moving thing, because that takes a lot of settling down. As you know, I moved here 5 months ago.
Well, I do feel guilty, because when I moved, she went into kennels. I can't remember whether I told you this, and it was an old-fashioned kennels outside, but I wanted her to be on her own. You know, the neighbours in neighbouring pens, and they said, oh, you know, they'd be warm, and you know, they'd sort of treat her well. And I took her twice. The first time was when I actually had the movers, because I had to go into rented accommodation as I moved out of my house. I didn't want her to be in the house when the packers came, so she went, I think, for 2 nights. And when I went to collect her, she seemed to be all right. But then I actually put her in again when I actually moved in here, and that, I think she hated that. When we got there, she wouldn't get out of the car, you know. So that was a very traumatic experience for her. It
probably would have been even more traumatic if, like mine, they were there while all the new house, all these things being moved in, all these men, all these people lifting things. I ended up taking them down the pub.
Yes. Oh, bless.
And you know, it was a big ordeal. I think you did your best, and unfortunately, it's one of those things. But you know, I think when we've gone through the recap, I think we'll have to look at ways of perhaps exercising the house. Perhaps that will be your next aim. I think it'd be the most useful. Yeah. And we perhaps look at a little bit of maybe clicker training.
Well, that you'll have to train me, of course.
Yes,
because
I know I'll have to do that.
Very slow.
No. Because you are using the principle anyway when you hear a bang, aren't you? Going, yes, and you're feeding her. And how is she getting any less jumpy to small bangs, do you think?
Well, this has been the odd thing. So as I say, I was very pleased with the Thunder Vest and you know, all the things that you suggested working terribly well. I also got a CD of Scary Sounds for Dogs, and it's 74 minutes of Scary Sounds for Dogs, but I haven't got beyond the first 3 minutes, because she absolutely, the first 3 minutes happens to be, it sounds like rifle shots, I mean gunshot, I think they're probably fireworks actually, and I've had it so soft that I can't hear it. Yes. But she is into absolute desperate mode, and because she was then going on such a downward spiral, I haven't actually don't resurrected that.
Right, well, don't for now, because you remember the whole thing about it, it's a ladder. You have to find the place where she's under threshold, and you wouldn't believe it that she's under threshold when you can't even hear it. But she's still, I mean, over threshold, so she still is over threshold at that level. So I would think also she probably knows now when you walk to the machine to turn it on, or you'll get the CD out, or all the rest of it. She probably knows, and it might just be because she knows you've put it on, and that's been contaminated because probably the first time you did it a bit too loudly, maybe.
Yes. Well, I thought it was very soft, but yes.
With that, the thing is to leave it about, put food on it, and let him get used to the whole thing, and go towards putting it on, give her food, don't do it, and see if you can just get but meanwhile, I think you do better to manufacture your own noises. So for instance, if it was me, I've got my pen in my hand, I'd go on the desk, just a tap, so food. I'd be manufacturing taps, just sudden soft noises. Okay, she might even see my hand coming out and doing it, but I would, on different surfaces with different things, a spoon on something metal softly, and do the things so that she's in the room and she can see it's you doing it, and see if you compare I think this is probably find her threshold on volume and things that you're going to tap. And while you're at it, you're going to have a real noise happening and you do exactly the same thing, yes, and throw her food. So you can't use a clicker and tap things because you have only got 2 hands really, and you need a tap and the food. But, you know, if you were just to sit very, very quietly and every noise you heard, you had the clicker in your hand, you immediately clicked and chuck her food.
So hear noise, click, food.
Well, I'll explain. I'll
Yes.
teach you how to do the clicker, but you want her to know she's getting the food for that noise.
Yes.
Another time you put your hand in the pouch or your pocket to get the food out, the connection is broken because it's taken.
Exactly. I've been too slow. Yes.
But you're saying the word yes.
Yes.
I mean, that is as good as clicker, really. As long as you coincide the word yes with almost immediately, the thing happened.
Yes.
And she knows now that yes earns food because yes is the click. Do you see? So it's a bridge. It buys you a little bit of time. But she needs to know what she's getting for. So I would say that that's the 2 things you need to do is find ways of getting her desensitized to noises which come out the blue. And they're going to be very soft noises. And you can manufacture the noises. Maybe, I'll tell you what might be worth doing. If you look on YouTube, Taco drums, I think it's spelled TACO drums, and they're Japanese drums. And it's a drumming, a bit like white noise, but it's, you know, it's drumming with some louder ones and some softer ones, and it's all in a rhythm. And a lot of dogs actually, when there are bangs and when there are fireworks, this going softly in the background really helps absorb it. But if you did it very softly to begin with, got her used to it, so it's not associated with bangs or anything, and, you know, associate it with nice things, give her something nice to chew, a real bone or something, and have it really soft. It might be an idea. Do you have a CD player, or what if you do YouTube, you do it on your computer, don't you?
Yeah, I'm not very good with YouTube because I can't sort of get through the advertisement things. I'm much better with a CD.
Well, you watch your own video, don't you, of the one I sent you? So if you have the link, all you have to do is I'll find you a link for Take and do exactly the same thing.
Perfect.
Let me just write that down. Click on that. Let me take a drum. Do it really softly, but what I was going to say is maybe experiment with that volume before you let her into the room, sort of thing, so that you don't have it in by mistake too loud to start with.
Yes.
Too soft to start with, better. And then maybe with it, instead of pairing food, you know, put it on and start rolling the ball around, or something which she likes to pair it with. But I think all the real noises are too loud, and her first introduction to something really does color her experience. So it's just likely that her first introduction to your scary noises CD is you know, was maybe a bit too loud.
Yes. That was an error, and as I say,
such a big learning curve, isn't it?
There's been so much. The other thing that the real pain, as far as I'm concerned, when she started not wanting to be in the house at all, and the weather started getting better, I let her out in the garden, and I thought my new garden was, I mean, it's fenced, and I got a beech hedge which is now nice and thick, but it's chestnut palings like a picket fence, and she's quite a slim dog, and she could squeeze through. So I'm now starting Monday, vast expense. I'm having new fencing to fence in my garden. I mean, you know, but if it works, it's worth it. Do you know what I mean? But of course, she's going to hate that experience. You know, men coming and, you know, she's got so much to fear around here. And the other thing that is interesting is even her hearing is so cute because, and the plane, it must be something to do with the sort of geography of Salisbury Plain, but it sort of rolls in. I know when I call her, my voice echoes, you know, sound does travel in a quite different way from Somerset, where we were woods and dells, and
yes, there's nothing to absorb it, is there?
no, yeah. And so I couldn't think why she was fussed, because there was no firing. But things like the helicopters, these great big heavy helicopters that fly around, she can hear things which I can't hear. And then, you know, she starts getting worked up.
And
she's not as bad as she was.
She's on alert for them all the time as well.
Yes. Another interesting thing that I've only noticed, I've never known her do it before, but this listening, like a pointer dog, she will stand with one paw raised. I can't hear a thing, but she's gazing with a sort of glassy expression, looking fixedly. Sort of, you know, her radar is so acute. She's all the time listening for the next
That's why I do think the fluoxetine should help after a bit.
Right.
When she does that, what exactly do you do?
So I try. I try not to overreact. I try and sort of perhaps we have a little game. I've got something. It's like a Kong, but it's in a sort of disc, and you can roll it around. If we're outside, I can roll it across the grass, and she has to work quite hard to get things out of it. But she likes that. But once she's over that threshold of food not working, right. So the other thing I do at that point is I say, in a car, Abby, which she loves. In a car, Abby is her greatest treat. The car's sitting outside in the carport, so it's under the shade, and she'll get in the car, and I leave the door. I've now got little steps so she doesn't have to jump in and out. So I leave the door open with the little steps so that she can come out, and I go and check her. But she'll spend the day in the car.
It's home from home, isn't it, for her?
Sort
of, yes, exactly. When what were you saying? Oh yes, when she does that pointing, here's a noise. At that moment, before it goes any further, that's you want a normal ball, really. You want something she can chase. What I would do at that moment, where she's sort of like this, is to, what's that? What did you hear, Abby? Come on, have the ball. So you're very upbeat.
Yes.
And you're not worried. And it's a good thing. Come on, Abby, chase your ball. That's a little game. Yes. Something that gets her attention, because if you do the thing rolling around, you've got to go and fill it up with stuff. You've got to go. But you need a ball on your. You really need a pouch all the time with a ball and treats in it.
Right.
You know? And it's the same for the bangs and anything else. You haven't got time to go and get them. You've got to have them on your person, really.
I think this is what I find so wearing, you know. I mean, it's like having a toddler in the house, you know. You can't really ever sort of and this, I think, because I think she must pick up on my anxiety. I'm sure.
You're picking up on hers. You're sort of swapping, aren't you?
Yes, I think we're, you know, which is why, you know, I actually said to the vet, she was very good. She didn't say anything. She just listened to me. I said, I don't know that this is going to work with Abby. I think I'm the wrong person for her. I said, I'm going to give it 6 months. I'm going to give it until Christmas. But she would be a very difficult dog to rehome, because she's old and she's difficult.
Don't give it time now. It's not. I've forgotten again what date it was we spoke. Let me have a look.
I think it was the 28th of
March. So what was that? What are we now? We're in May. It's only about 5 or 6 weeks, isn't it, at the most?
Yes.
And you know, that really is pretty early days, and you've come quite a long way. And I think now we can sort of whittle it down into sort of 2 or 3 areas for you to concentrate on, which will be less confusing. I think right. Concentrate on the exorcising the house, on well-controlled, just little noises which you could create out of the blue, different noises, you know, all different textures, different things, different, like metal and wood and tapping with a spoon and maybe a whistle, and little things which are sort of sudden. And so at the same time, you need to be chucking her food. In fact, she might be watching you and see you do it. It honestly doesn't matter.
I noticed on your last what is it, podcast thing, you talked about chicken livers, and I've actually, because I think she's getting a bit bored with this dreary old kibble. Well, I'm getting a bit bored with it anyway. I've ordered some chicken livers. I hope they will be just another.
Yes, they're lovely. And the thing is, you need to cut them. The ones I had, somebody gave them to me, they're a bit too big. And I would say you cut them down, because you don't need big volume here. You need just lots of small, don't you?
Yes, yes.
Cut them down. They're a good thing. So I'll send you a taco drum thing. And the one thing I don't know if I mentioned before, as she gets on so well with the Thundershirt, might be useful to look at a calming cap. Now, it's a bit of an American thing. You can Google it, it'll be on Amazon.
Yes.
But they're almost like earmuffs for dogs.
Oh.
I think they're called mutt muffs. Look at the two things, mutt muffs and calming cap.
Yes.
Those
Am
two.
I going to get a copy of this video?
Yes. Oh, yes. You're
yes,
going.
So I won't make notes now.
Yes. So mutt muffs and calming cap. So you could perhaps actually get her. Don't. It's like with the Thundershirt. Don't wait until there are noises before putting them on. Get her used to them when she's happy and relaxed.
Yes.
So that, you know.
I was so skeptical about that Thundershirt, and I jolly nearly didn't buy it. But the very fact that I knew I could, because I tried my pet shop and they didn't have actually the Thundershirts, and they were very expensive, and in the end I didn't get one. But then I looked online and actually for Thundershirts, and that was where they said you've got 30 days and you can send them back. So I thought, well, that's fair enough.
Yes.
And they were very clear instructions, put a bit of food on, and it was the first thing that really gave me hope, was that Thundershirt.
Good.
I'm almost thinking of getting another one, because it gets quite, I don't know how much of her life she can spend in a Thundershirt, but she's in it quite a lot. She's in it now upstairs. That's one of the things when we come in from a walk. And I did my walk sort of 2 o'clock this afternoon, a bit earlier, so that I'd be back here. And again, I was pleased because we did a trip through Urchfront, which she doesn't really like going through the village. So we did our normal sort of pantomime, scattering kibble all along the pavement, and we got out to the other side, which she does like. And she was fine. But as soon as we got back, pant, 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 pant. So I said, do you want to go upstairs, Abby? Uppity up, I say. And she, so she shot up the stairs, and there she was waiting for her thunder vest. And I pressed the button, and, she's relaxed. So I think, well, perhaps she lives in a Thundershirt most of the time, or do you think she will?
I don't know is whether if it's on all the time, whether they get too used to it. I just don't know about that.
Yeah.
Let's look at ways to exercise the house.
Yes.
If we can. If you're going to have to use food, as far as I can see, unless you use game, you don't want her running up and down the stairs, do you? Really, because of her joints.
Yes. And also, I don't think I'm a very games. It doesn't come easy to me to do games.
No, you don't enjoy it. Right. Okay. What about this then? Shut her in the car. Shut her somewhere. She's totally okay. Or in the garden. Shut her outside, and give her a meal. I know she's on raw food. Really, if you could hide that around the house in lots of places, fine. Or do it with kibble. But make it so that every room and every place, if she goes exploring, she's going to find her food, her meal. And
yes.
It's going to be so that she's going to get hungry enough that she's going to do it, I would think. And it'll sort of, I think if you do it often enough, it'll familiarize her more with the house, and pair it with things that she's okay with. Start off with the places in the house where she's not unhappy, and gradually extend from there, if you see what I mean. So obviously
Yes.
doing some in your bedroom, perhaps you prefer to have kibble and raw food in your bedroom. And
And the other thing is too that I've got to keep breakfast as a sort of a meal in a bowl, because that's when I give her all her meds.
well, you could make it much smaller, and if you put it in, I think you'll find if you put it in pate, you can just feed it to
Oh
her.
yes.
And I make ball of pate, and in it goes,
Yes.
and they like it.
Do you put them all in one little ball, or
Well, in your case,
she has 4.
yeah. Well, you have to have the painkiller separately before the meal, don't you?
Oh yes, so that's right. That's the one that has to be an hour before food.
And then the other ones you can put all together, couldn't you?
Yes, yes.
And if there's any trouble with them rolled together in a ball of pate, if there's still trouble with it, try crushing them up. I don't know if they're meant to be in them for a while before they dissolve, but I don't think so. They're not in those little plastic file things, are they?
They are. Actually, can you just wait while I go and reach for them?
Yeah, go on.
I don't know whether you heard a bang, but I keep my food, Abby's food, in a bread bin, and that's quite good because that's a noise that she associates with food.
That's very good.
So can you see what I've got here? This is
yes. Are they solid, or are they loose powder inside the plastic?
They're capsules, so they're in little sort of.
Oh, right.
Looks a bit like plastic. I think it's the plasticky gelatin, probably it is.
But I think sometimes that is meant to mean that it goes down to the stomach before it dissolves, before it opens up, maybe.
I see, yes.
So it would probably not be wise to sprinkle that
but
out.
I think if it's in a little ball of pate.
I think so. You make a ball of pate, and it's such strong smelling stuff, the pate.
Yes.
Maybe the other pills you could crush.
Yes.
Now, if there might be, it depends what they taste like. Give it a go.
Yes.
And then what I would say is the places in the house, which is her favourite place, is the bedroom, isn't it?
Yes.
She seems to be okay on the stairs.
Yes, she'll the bottom. I have my house is just such a tip, but I have a sort of fairly filthy carpet at the moment that goes halfway up to the first floor, and there's a right angle, and she quite likes sitting in the right angle.
So she's all right on all that, and as the carpet's old and dirty anyway, it doesn't matter if you put food on it.
Absolutely.
So you can start in the bedroom. Does she anywhere near the bedroom she feels all right? And you can also put some on each stair. She'll obviously get them on the way up to the bedroom.
Yes.
And then anywhere else downstairs where she's not too unhappy. And I would say don't do the kitchen at all for now. Let her come in the house. She's got to walk through the kitchen to get to the other, has she?
No, the kitchen, you come into the house and the kitchen's on the left. My study, which will be a nice cozy room eventually when I get some lighting in there, but at the moment it's dark, but I do go in there. It is interesting. I do a Zoom Pilates class on a Tuesday at lunchtime, and this lovely Katia has the most engaging voice. And when I'm doing Pilates with the Zoom, Abby is just relaxed. I have a little bed in every room, encouraging her to sort of be happy and comfortable. And Abby just lies, so she can be soothed by voice. And Katia's got a lovely voice, and Abby goes to sleep. I almost hear her snoring.
Made me think of something else. Okay, so what you can do, you can have her out of the house. Lace the environment, lace your bedroom, lace the stairs, lace your office, lace everywhere, but not the kitchen. Okay.
Yes.
Get her so she likes this game and she knows this game, and perhaps it's a game you do every day. And you probably feed a lot of her meal around the house rather than in a dish. All right.
Yes.
Now, when she's really got the hang of that, have your kitchen door open, which you can do all the time anyway, but you're not going to put it there to start with. And start putting some in the kitchen doorway itself.
Yes.
Right? And bit by bit, include bits of the kitchen until the kitchen is part of your game. So, I mean, I think if you persisted in that, you start to exercise the house, because she'll be doing something she likes. She'll be feeling safe, and pairing it with something she loves. That's what I would I would concentrate on doing that now, because
Yes.
in a way, everything else is going to be easier when she's not so scared of being in the house, won't it?
Yes.
But
Yes.
along with that can come your very gentle taps, just well, very gentle but sudden.
Yes.
And sudden. You might, if she just looks at you, just chuck her food, because if you've got the food on you, then you don't really need a bridge, do you? Because it's there
No.
immediately. So
Yes.
that's what I would do. Try doing that. Just try. I'll send you the Takeo drum thing so that maybe when you're doing your tapping thing, you can have that on in the background as well. Just try it. It's useful thing to know. Have a look for calming cap or mat muffs, okay? And there's another thing which I think might be really useful to you to have a look at, called the trust technique. It's a wonderful man who can get horses just to lie down and sleep next to him. It's to do with sort of mindfulness, and you're into Pilates, so maybe you'd like it. But the thing is, it's adjusting your mind when you're near the animal, and the animal relaxes. But I think in a way it might help, because half of this is with you, isn't it? You're worried that you're the wrong person and so on and so on. I'm sure you're not. But it might actually, it's something you can almost do together.
Yes. Yes.
And it's called the trust technique. It does cost, but he has plenty of videos for free, which is all you need really to see how you do it. And you can see these wonderful examples of animals, even wild animals.
Yes.
It's incredible, really. I think he's in the moment. He's just he concentrates his mind and sitting all still and comfortable near the animal.
Yes. I mean, it's extraordinary, really, have a privilege, really, having a very sensitive dog. But it's been hard work, and it made I was in despair, but I'm not, because we have made progress, and I am most grateful to you. And
well,
I know
when I listened to the thing back, I thought, heavens, you must be totally overwhelmed. I mean, there seemed to be so much to put into it, but hopefully this time is we've taken out of it a few, 2 or 3 things rather than having to do so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Thea, thank you so much.
We've got some time left, you might prefer to stop now and have another shorter session later on, or how about I teach you how to do some clicker training with her?
Yes. She's upstairs. Do I need her to be here now?
No, I'll explain it to you, and as it's recorded,
yes.
It's going to be, the first thing is we're going to teach her a trick, if you like, just so that you learn how to do it and she learns how to do it. So you've got this clicker. So sit somewhere like at a table where you can have the bowl of your chopped up, very small, soft, tasty stuff, either cheese or chicken, or maybe those chicken hearts, quite hard things, but they're nice. In a bowl, somewhere she can't get her nose into it. Okay, so there we are, sitting. She's awake. She's not particularly interested. She's just around. You got the bowl in front of you, and you've got the clicker in one of your hand. Okay, little click, and when you click it, you go click, 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 quick. It goes click, 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 click. Now, to begin with, what you want to do is make sure she's not scared of that click, because it's quite a sudden click. So put it under your arm so it's really muffled while she's near you, and give a little muffled click, and at the same time drop food.
Do you say anything?
No. With clicker, you don't talk. It's all, so she begins to think. So I would click and drop food, click and drop food, until she hears the click and looks at you, and you realize she's got the connection. If with it under your arm, she still doesn't like it, abandon it. All right. But I think if you get it muffled enough, you'll be able to do that. Now, the next thing is to gradually bring it out so it's half muffled, so until eventually you've got the clicker out, it's click. And so, as I say, it's quite a percussive, although it's a very small thing, some dogs are alarmed, and I think she would be if you didn't set it up right. Now, if you get to the stage where you can take it out of your arm, that is brilliant, because now she knows that when she hears a click, she's going to get food. Okay. So put your hand out at her nose level now, You've got your clicker in one hand, food in front of you, and just wait and see what she does. Now she's going to be nosy. She's going to put her nose on your hand. Now try the minute you feel her nose to click. You want to capture that moment, click. And now you can do this with your clicker hand, pick up the bit of food and give it to her. All right, or drop it on the floor, whichever you like. Put your hand out again and she'll be curious again. She'll touch it and at the same moment, click and give her food. Now she won't, after when you've done this for a while, maybe in 2 or 3 sessions, she'll start thinking, oh, when I touch the hand, I get a click, and when I get a click, I get food. I'll do that again. So it's like the penny drops, and you start getting her doing that. Now, start changing things just a little. Perhaps do that so she's got to reach up. Put your hand out so she's got to go further away from you. Stand up. Maybe sit somewhere else, but don't talk, all right? It's when she's just milling around, she'll soon realize you're having a clicker session, you know. Okay, now you've got to the stage where if she's the other side of the room or somewhere she's not looking at you, put your hand out and just say to her, Abby, just get her attention. She'll look at you. Yes. Oh, the hand's out. I'm coming over and touch the hand. Click. Food. Okay, so now you're nearly there. You can get her attention. She sees your hand and she knows what to do. Now you just put a word on it. So you say to Abby, you put your hand out and say touch. As she's running down, you say touch. So you're labeling it. And she touches, you give her food. So you no longer need the clicker. You've taught her to touch your hand. So it means basically, if you want her attention away from something, to do something she quite likes, maybe with a gentle, maybe when she's doing her pointing, if you put your hand out and said, Happy, touch, and she's taught her a really good touch, she's then got something else to direct onto. And it's not like saying, no, leave it, or even come here. It gives her something positive to do.
Yes, yes.
But now you've taught yourself how to use clicker. The clicker means that you make this click when something happens so that she knows it's a good thing and she's going to get food. So you couldn't be clicking and creating your own taps and things. But you could say, if you happened to have it in your hand and you suddenly heard a noise, you could immediately click and give her food. If she's doing anything you think is particularly good, like say that you're out in your hallway and she's done her hunting game, she's coming near the kitchen, she looks in the kitchen, quickly click. You could click her into the kitchen because every time she looks at the kitchen open door, she gets a click and she gets food, not necessarily thrown in there. Now then, you start withholding the food. She's going to only click when she's got her head a little bit further in the kitchen. Capture those ones now and shape it. So eventually she might have one foot in, you're going to click it. Do you see what I mean? You can sort of, you can,
yes.
You can tell her exactly what it is you do want. I know it all sounds a bit complicated, but once you've got the thing and you've taught her touch, it's almost like you've got a tool to use should you think of something that you need to teach her or to teach her. Yes, that's what we want.
Yes.
Or, yes, that thing is okay. Say she was frightened of cars. You could sit somewhere back from the road, watch it, and every time a car runs, she sees a car, click, and give her food. So she knows she's getting a click for the car.
So that's interesting. It just happens that up in my bedroom, I have a next door neighbour. Well, there's a little passage between my house and their house where the children go up to school, and they can be quite noisy, but she's all right with that. Right. But there's a man, he works from home and he's a businessman, and he started, now the sun's come out, he started working in his garden on the telephone. She doesn't like him. She doesn't like the noise, and that's in her safe space. So that might be somewhere where
is she when she doesn't like him? Is she in the garden?
No, she's upstairs in the bedroom.
Oh.
But she can hear him if he's sitting virtually under my bedroom window. I mean, there's a little passage between us. He's one of these sort of business executives with a commanding voice. And he does go on and on and on. I mean, I can see it's going to be a long summer, perhaps.
Well, if what's the first thing she does is alert, is it? She doesn't go straight into barking.
No, she doesn't bark.
Well,
she doesn't bark.
I would take your clicker once you've done it. Once she's knows, and every time she looks and alerts, click food. And if
Yes.
you drop the food, you've got to look away to pick it up.
Yes.
And again, and he starts talking again, we will click food.
Yes.
So you're pairing his talking with food.
Yes.
And meanwhile, if you want to start earlier, use the word yes.
Yes.
Or you don't even have to use a clicker, but you mark it, yes, food.
Yes.
So she knows exactly what she's getting the food for. The thing about clicker, the thing about yes, you can't help putting your own emotion and thing into your words, you know.
Yes.
It's not impartial, whereas
Yes.
the clicker is really totally impersonal, impartial. And she's
Do I get a clicker online or?
can do, yes. Your pet shop will have them.
Will they? Yeah. I mean, a clicker is a clicker is a clicker, is
Well,
it?
the various sorts of clickers. I like ones called teardrop clickers, but it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can get them with whistles attached, but you don't want one of those.
No.
But yes, I would get one which is like a button on it. Some of them look as if there's a little metal pad in there, but I just a little button thing.
Yes.
It's so easy. But when you click, don't go, just a click. Because it's a double thing, it has to go down and up.
Right.
So you can yes, so if you just do it, it goes click. As you go hold it down, it goes click, and there's a second one when you come back. You want it all like that. But definitely don't do it without muffling it.
Yes.
To begin. And I think sort of under your arm is probably the best place.
Yes.
Hmm.
I'll have to buy two because I know me, I'll lose the wretched thing.
They're on strings, you can put it around your neck.
Oh, can you? Oh, well, excellent.
I think
what with my pouch and my ball and my pate.
And your clicker. But if you had a little, one of those little bags, you know, bum bag things.
Yes.
You could put all those stuff into one bag, couldn't you?
Yes.
Have it on you in case you need it.
Yes.
I know this is hard work.
Well, the lovely thing is you're so encouraging and you're so full of ideas. And I do feel better for being able to speak to you. So thank you very much. And, you know, it is beginning to work.
Well, don't just leave it. If you want to chat in a week or two, you know, we can always have a phone chat. You know, you don't have to have an hour session. I mean, maybe that might be quite a good thing to do in another month, but you know, meanwhile, if you're feeling disheartened or you just want to talk something through, you know,
well, I don't want to take advantage of you, so I probably won't call you, but it's nice to know that I can.
Right, let me have a look. You didn't do the subscribing thing, did you? No.
I think I am subscribed.
Maybe.
Is this the PayPal thing?
That was the £7 a month.
Yes.
Maybe you did. Hang on, let me have a look. Because that's part of it. If you did, that's
because I've had a very complicated relationship with PayPal. It goes back 20 years.
There. No, you're there, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's more or less what you're paying for anyway. So, you know, that's why I do it, so that people can get help on an ongoing basis.
Well, so as I say, if I get into a muddle with the clicker thing, I will, you know, revisit this video to make sure that I've got everything in my head. Yeah. But I have got more idea now of where we're going, and I've taken away some key points like stay with the medications, and
give it more of a chance.
Yes.
You've given it long enough. Yes, when you listened through to it, I'll email it to you very soon. Okay, the link to the thing, and I'll also try to email you a link to these drums. To have very, very softly, of course, but there's the rhythm. It's more music than some out of the blue thing.
It's interesting though, because I listen to I don't have a television, but I listen to the radio a lot. I actually like listening to football. Abby hates it, so I only listen when she goes upstairs. And when she's around, I listen to classic FM. But something like Fanfare for a Common Man or anything with drum rolls, she hates.
Oh, right.
To her, I think it's associated with thunder. So I will be interested in this
I'll
taco
start
thing.
it very, very soft.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
Yes, it might be, it could be good in that it's sort of, it harvests the bangs and putting them into a music situation.
Yes.
Whereas something like 1812 Overture or something is sort of really is bangs, isn't it?
Yes. Gosh, you know, they keep me working, these dogs, don't they? Bless them, because they can't.
Well, you've taken her on as a project, and you know, you're really making her life better.
Well, I hope so.
It was better, wasn't it, until you moved house?
I know. And this is the thing, you know, I was so happy because it was, you know, it was wonderful for me to have a companion, and I knew that her life was better than it was before. And now I feel, oh, well, I did feel that we were going backwards, but I don't feel so despondent now because there has been bits of progress. And, you know, I couldn't bear it when she was just so distressed. I thought, this is no life for a dog, but, you know, she's got over that. And it's not all the time.
No, and the bangs are one thing, but how she feels about the house is another.
Yes.
So it'd be really lovely to sort of do something with that. What you could do, the other thing you perhaps could do, is once you've done all the house and you want to move on to the kitchen, maybe you could get a chair and sit just outside your kitchen door and roll the ball into the kitchen. But does she bring it back to you and give it to you when you have a ball?
She's so peculiar with the ball. She what she likes doing, she likes patting with her nose. She loves, and if I'm outside because I'm trying to do some weeding and things, and I have the ball and you know, and she brings it to me. But if she wants to get my attention, she goes and sort of drops it through somewhere difficult where she, you know, she's so ingenious. She sort of hides it. I mean, she's very inventive, you know, and I think, Abby, I've got to get the dandelions out of the lawn. I can't play with you all day.
If you gave her 5 or 10 minutes and the kitchen doorway, you could probably develop that game in some way. So she runs in the kitchen to get the ball.
Yes.
And she brings it back and hides it for you, or drops it to you, or just doesn't bring it back at all. She has. It might make that what do you call it, changeover from doing the stuff in the house to actually into the kitchen. So that might be, don't do it yet, get her, really exercise her to the rest of the house first.
Yes.
And then maybe that would be an idea of actually, apart from adding food just inside the kitchen door and lacing the environment, see if you can really get her going in there happy, because if she was going in after a ball, she'd be going in very happily, wouldn't she?
Yes, yes. As I say, I've sort of been nervous about doing too much ball stuff because of her joints.
Well, I'm not suggesting you throw it, just roll it. And don't roll it too quickly, so she doesn't have to go running and skidding to a halt.
Yes. No, it's just, you know, I mean, when she comes down in the morning, I used to have a little tray with all her balls on, and I thought it was quite good because the tray on my stone floor rattled and made a noise. And if she wanted the ball, she had to make a noise. You know, she did it around and then she got it. But I put them all away when I thought, oh dear, we mustn't have balls in our life. But actually, since I've spoken to you last time, I keep her Kong and another ball, and she you know, I mean, she loves it. She's very inventive with her ball play. So I think we can exploit that.
Having something in her mouth.
Yes.
Something else I thought of then. We were talking about Kong and ball. I've lost it. It's gone.
She's not terribly. She easily gives up. I got a sort of big black Kong. I think maybe I got one that's too big for her, and I put cheese or peanut butter, or because it's no good putting kibble in. The hole's too big; it just falls out. But she won't. She'll lick, you know, the easy bits, but she won't persist with it.
All right.
I think perhaps it's too big and too solid.
Maybe it's not sort of, yes, maybe something else for her.
Yes.
Sort of working for it, but still, if you're going to get a decent exercise your house, that'll be working for her food.
Yes, yes.
I would do an awful lot of that, so she's got to go all over the house to get the food.
Yes.
You really, and you know, but as I say, leave the kitchen till last.
Yes.
Yeah, something I was thinking when you're talking about the stairs. Have you got, is your kitchen a shiny floor? Have you got a rug on it?
No, it's a stone floor.
You know
I've
that's
got,
not meant to be very good for dogs' joints, don't you?
sorry,
You know it's not meant to be very good for dogs' joints.
or stone floor, flagstones.
Yeah, a floor which hasn't got any grip on it. It might be worth getting a very, very cheap runner from somewhere.
Yes.
I mean, Tesco
Yes.
has carpet for outside and really cheap,
Yes.
because that might be one of the reasons she doesn't like the kitchen, because it can be. I know with arthritis they say that dogs shouldn't be on shiny hard floors.
Oh, how interesting. I mean, she's got a huge big bed. I've given away the soft cage. She wasn't interested, didn't work, and it was taking up space. So I gave it away. And then sitting, so she has got soft places to be in my kitchen.
Maybe
but
just walking in there is, it could be, and because you're so worried about her joints, obviously it should be. That is one of the things that the first thing you'd be suggest if you had somebody who, there's a Facebook group for dogs with arthritis people, and that's the first thing they say is don't have shiny floors.
Right. Oh well,
it might be just a cheap runner. It might make her feel very differently about the kitchen. You never know.
Yes. Well, it's worth a try.
Yes, yeah. It'll change it a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll do. I will email you the link very, very shortly when I've done.
Thank you so much for your time. I love your fellow sitting behind you.
He's very well trained. He's very, very quiet. He doesn't like things at all.
Thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Lovely to see you again. And remember, your monthly thing is so you can keep in touch with me if you need to.
Thank you.
And also, if you want another session, it makes it cheaper. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.